Welcome to Hape Motivation. This podcast is a space created for reflection and growth, real conversations about life, purposes, and becoming better without losing yourself along the way. I'm your host, Dre, and together we'll explore what it means to slow down, check in, and grow with intention. So wherever you are, take a breath and welcome to Hape Motivation. Welcome you all to the very first episode on the Hape Motivation Podcast. I am really glad that you all are here. So first, again, thank you. Thank you for pressing play. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time today. And thank you for being here at the very beginning of this journey. This is the first venture under Hape Motivation. So thank you for the support. Thank you for being here for the first episode. So I'm going to get into this podcast and give you an intro to Hape Motivation and talk about how all this came about. So starting this podcast isn't something I decided overnight. Again, this moment has been building for a long time. So as we start this together, I want you to know something right away. This podcast is meant to feel like a space you can breathe in. A space where you don't have to have everything figured out. A space you don't have to always be on. A space where growth, reflection, and real life can exist at the same time. That's really what Hape Motivation is about. It's about creating room in the world that constantly tells us to keep moving, keep pushing, keep doing more. So as you listen today, my hope is that you don't feel rushed. My hope is that you feel welcome. And I hope that something in this episode makes you feel like you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So whether you found this podcast intentionally, accidentally, or somewhere in between, again, welcome. Thank you. And I believe you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So Hape Motivation, very dear to my heart. I came up with that name 15 years ago. No, 15 years ago, I came up with that name. And I can't even tell anybody how I came up with that name. I'm going to keep that one covered for right now. But this name has hung around for over 15 years. So I want to tell y'all, it's the foundation. So let's start there. What is Hape Motivation? So Hape Motivation was created for everyone. Not just leaders, not just high performers, not just people who feel like they have life figured out. Because I definitely don't. I don't have it figured out. So if you're looking for motivation, you're looking for some inspiration, you want guidance, you just need a place to pause, breathe, let off some steam, Hape Motivation is for you. This space exists to support the whole person, mentally, emotionally, physically. And Hape Motivation is rooted in one simple belief. You do not have to rush your growth for it to be meaningful. And this belief is what led to the message and the heart of this brand, which is power in the pulse. So to really understand why this brand exists, I want to share where it came from. So I have passion for people. I've had that passion since I was very young, very, very young. And so I say that to say my passion for people and growth didn't start recently. It's just been part of my life for a long, very long time. And I'll tell you the connection that I was able to make. High school, 16, I started working at Target. Of course, want some money. And I started as a cart attendant. I was pushing carts. That was all. My whole goal was, I'm just going to work there. Probably worked there while I'm in college, but my goal was to be a computer engineer. That was my goal. I know some of y'all might think like I'm a leader. I know I work at Amazon. I'll let you know leadership was not my goal. I wanted to be a computer engineer. That was the plan. But here I am, 18, 19. I'm in college and I was still working at Target full time, even while I was in college full time. But I got promoted and went into a leadership role while I was in college. And everything changed. Everything changed. Because that passion I had for people from a younger age started connecting to this leadership role where I was making money. And so I saw how leadership could truly impact people. I saw how believing in someone could change their confidence, how guidance could change their direction, how support could change their life. And that experience lit something in me that never went away. So after that, boom, I changed my major. I changed my major to business management, specializing in leadership. I fell in love with leadership, y'all. I fell in love with it. So I went overboard. Like, not only did I specialize in it with my bachelor's, I did the same thing with my master's, but even outside of school, I still studied leadership. Like, I bought so many leadership books, reading the books, listening to podcasts. I had so many mentors at Target and even outside of Target personally. And then I've been fortunate because, like, even throughout my career at Target and even later at Amazon, like, I've been able to develop and work with so many leaders, but also create and develop more leaders. And I'm so grateful for that journey because when I reflect back on my journey, those moments where I were able to develop and create more leaders, it's that self-fulfilling moment for me. So it's very rewarding for me. But my ultimate goal was never a title. I know it's crazy now because I'm a senior manager, leader with Amazon, a site leader, but back then my goal was never a title. I was never trying to climb the corporate ladder. Like, I had fell in love with leadership, yes, and I enjoyed the experience that I did have with leadership, but my dream changed and I wanted to build something of my own. I wanted a company that was centered around leadership, motivation, mentoring, and growth. Like, I wanted to teach leadership. I wanted to mentor individual and groups on leadership. I wanted to go into companies and help develop and teach leadership. I wanted to write leadership books. I wanted to host a podcast. I wanted to even do public speaking. But life started lifing. However, had other plans for a while. And we know how that goes. Like, our mind and our focus shifts because of the circumstances that we are in. And I started my career demands, other life responsibility, whether it was family and other things, and then relationships. So for years, my focus just shifted. But the dream didn't disappear. I say it was just pause. And so during that pause, something else grew. I realized my passion wasn't just the leadership part. It was motivation and inspiration, helping people through difficult seasons. I know what it feels like to move through life without a strong support system. To carry weight quietly. To be one that everyone relies on. To keep showing up even when you're exhausted. I never wanted anyone to feel alone in that space. That's when Hape Motivation truly formed. Not just as a brand, but as a purpose. So now let's spend a little time, talking about the heart of it all. So the power in the pause. I know a lot of y'all have seen that. And that's the name of this first episode. Because it isn't just a phrase. It's not just a catchy slogan. It's something I've learned the hard way. Because we live in a world that constantly tells us to move faster, to do more, push harder. And somewhere along the way, what do? We started believing that. And we made us start believing that slowing down meant that we were falling behind. Because most of us aren't struggling because we're lazy. We're struggling because we're exhausted. We have goals, ambition, dreams, but when you never pause, you don't just burn out physically, you burn out mentally and emotionally. And when that happens, even the things you love start to feel heavy. So I want to share a personal story that really changed how I think about slowing down. So there was a point in my life where everything on the outside looked good. And that's what I've said before. And like, if anybody's seen some of my previous videos, it's like, I haven't really told much of my story. Not even to some of my closest friends or family members. Like, they don't know a lot of challenges that I dealt with growing up, or even, just over the last 20 years. Not many people know. So like, I dealt with a lot in silence. And and that for various reasons, but like, and so from outside looking in, no one knew some of my internal struggles, but things were looking good on the outside. Like, my career was moving forward. I was delivering great results at work. People relied on me, whether at work, personally. I was the dependable one. I was the strong one, the person who always figured it out. But internally, I was running on empty. Because I had been grinding for years. Anybody that know me and knew me knew I grinded. I was giving everything I had inside to my career, to other responsibilities, whether they were my responsibilities or other people's responsibilities, or I was just giving too much of myself to other people. And somewhere along the way, my cup didn't just get low. It ran on E. It ran on E. And you know what? I always kept telling myself, like, I'll slow down later. I'm going to hit this goal and I'll slow down. Or this next milestone, or when things finally settle. But the truth is, and I learned this the hard way too, is things never really settle if you don't choose to pause. And what made it even worse was this. Everyone always saw me as the strong one. The one that didn't need anything. The one that could handle it. The one that was always pouring into others. And because of that, there was very, very few people pouring back into me. There still is very, very few people that pour into me. And, and I know it's not because they didn't care or they don't care. No, I know it's not that. It's because I never really let them see that I needed it. Because I kept going. Like, I always kept pushing. I kept telling myself that slowing down means I'm falling behind or I'm failing. Until exhaustion caught my attention. Like, I wake up tired, even after some night getting a full night rest, or I think I'm getting a full night rest. Like, losing excitement for things I used to love to do. And then the biggest one was feeling disconnected from myself. And then outside of that, like, I don't share a lot of things, but over the last year and a half, like, having like 3 hospital health scares, because my body is just telling me, like, yo, like, bro, like, let's slow down. And all of that was my wake up call. And I want to say this directly to you, if you're listening. If any of that sounds familiar, if you're nodding your head, if you're thinking, yeah, that's me, don't take it as weakness. You're not weak. You're not broken. And you're definitely not alone. A lot of us were taught to keep going, to push through, to be strong, to not need anything. And at some point, being strong turned into being silent. And that's the part that a lot of people don't understand. That line right there. being strong turns into being silent. So if you're in that place right now where you're functioning but not really feeling, or you're showing up but not really present, I see you. And most importantly, I understand you. Something else I realize is this: when you're the strong one for a long time, people stop checking on you. And again, not because they don't care, but because they assume you're okay. They assume you got it handled. They assume you don't need support. And after a while, you start believing that too. So you stop asking. You stop sharing. You stop slowing down. And your cup keeps draining. That's where I found myself. That's why learning how to pause intentionally has been one of the hardest and most necessary things I've ever done. It's been a great lesson to learn and fight through. Now I'm in a season where I'm learning how to slow down without feeling like I'm failing or feeling like I'm falling behind. I'm learning how to pour into myself, choosing myself this year. That's the goal for 2026. And I am definitely learning how to pour into myself the same way I poured into others. I'm still driven, even though I'm still choosing myself. I still care deeply about my career, still want to do my thing there, and I still want to grow. So choosing myself and prioritizing myself didn't change any of those other priorities. I'm just shifting the focus a little bit. And I'm also learning that rest does not erase ambition. It protects it. Like, that journey isn't finished. It's intentional. And that's what power and the pause means to me. That's why it's so important. Because pausing doesn't mean quitting. It means checking in. It means choosing yourself before burnout chooses you. So I want to ask you something and really sit with it. When was the last time you paused without guilt? I'm going to ask that again. When was the last time you paused without guilt? I mean, not scrolling, not distracting yourself, just being present. And if you can't remember, that's okay. But if you can't remember, that's your sign. That's your sign. So before we close out this first episode, I do want to leave you with something. I want to leave you with some homework, because we're going to do homework, because I want to make sure we're not just listening to the podcast, because I'm on this journey as well. So this is going to challenge me as well. I want to make sure that we are taking action after the podcast, and we're all growing on this journey together. But your homework for the week: once a day, give yourself permission to pause. Just 1 minute. No phone, no noise. Just a breath and a check-in. Ask yourself this simple question: what do I need right now? What do I need right now? And then here's your power thought to carry with it. You don't have to rush your healing or your growth for it to be real. You're healing, you're growing. You don't have to rush it. You do not have to rush it. So if this episode resonated with you, stay connected. Even if it didn't, still stay connected. Every episode is going to be different. The podcast is meant to be interactive, so I want to hear from you. Your experiences, your challenges, your questions. Hape Motivation, Hape Motivation, on Instagram and Facebook. You can definitely send me a message there, and I'll respond very quickly as I can. But future episodes will include deeper conversations, audience topics, and reflections that, matter to you. Hape Motivation will continue to evolve, because we will continue to evolve. I definitely want to say this again. Thank you for starting this journey with me. Thank you for being here at the beginning. Thank you. This is Hape Motivation, and this is just the beginning.